Hi there, Esther. I am here in a stairwell at our football stadium. It is our yearbook signing time, and my job is to keep teenagers from escaping through the stairwell early to lunch. So I thought I would work on explaining some of these problems. Since at the moment you haven't shown up, so I'm just going to start recording some basic explanations, and we'll go from there. So I'm just going to give you a little shove in the right direction for every single one of these. So for this first one, you have two sides. You need a third side. You Pythagorean theorem. And that's going to be leg squared plus leg squared equals hypo squared. So leg squared equals hypo squared. You know this as a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this is going to be 9 squared plus 12 squared equals x squared. So x is the square root of whatever 12 squared is minus 9 squared. Now, if that's not perfect, you should factor it. Number one, before you go any further, this is a rectangle. You should instantly mark everything you know to be true about a rectangle. Gentlemen, where are you going? Stay. You're not allowed to leave. Football, no, you may not leave. Thank you very much, sir. Where are you going? You may not leave. Then go this way. So, of course, we've got right angles going on here. Yeah. And this is a midpoint going both ways, but more importantly, a rectangle is that opposite diagonals are equal in length. That's important to know. So we know that m all the way to p is going to equal, n to p. N to p is going to equal m to o. The diagonals are congruent. What are you given? You're given n to q and q to o and m to q and p to q. Don't know why you need all this. They've given you extraneous information because of the midpoint. All you need to know is that this m to q equals q to o. So m to q, 5x minus 5, equals q to o, 6x minus 15. Just want you to solve for x. It wants you to find the length between CD, so that's simply the distance equation. Howdy.
Hey, Ms. Williams, what can I do to get my grade?
We need the distance equation. You just pop your x's in here, and you pop your y's in here, and you solve accordingly. A couple things going on here. central angles, which are pizza slice angles, and then inscribed angles, which are the ones with the on. And central angles, the angle is equal to the arc. And inscribed angles, the angle is equal to the arc over 2. Remember, inscribed angles, specifically, these are the ones that you use the Post-it notes on. So specifically, when you come here, also what you need to watch out for here, all radii are equal, so that forces this to be an isosceles triangle. 2 equal sides, 2 equal angles, and you can get this right there. This is 180 there. Excuse me, let me color code it. 180 there. And don't forget, you get 180 going this way. And whatever this angle is, this one, the arc is the same. Then you can find this angle, this arc. And take it from there. We're told the diameter is 12 inches, height 16 inches, filled with water, total amount of water, that means this is a volume concept, and volume for a cylinder is the area of the base area times the height. Your base area here is a circle. So our base area is pi radius squared times your height, which you have. Your teacher may or may not want it in pi form or exact, what's called exact for, oh, it does want it exact. Exact terms means your answer is going to be blah, 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 pi inches cubed. That's exact form. Leave it in pi form. Here the triangles are similar. Similar, same shape, different size. And if things are similar, you have congruent angles and ratios which are equal. Congruent angles and ratios which are equal. So right off the bat, we know P is congruent to B. You are going to know C is congruent to Q. And the ratios are going to be equal. Knowing this, side over side equals side over side. So I'm going to work left to right. Left to right. 24 over 78. Left to right. 8x plus 8 over 182. The reason we can do that is when things are similar, they have congruent angles and the ratios are equal, which means everything's proportional. So when you're dealing with similarity, it's always going to be something over something equals something over something. Cross multiply, solve. Classify the sides here. What's a specific name if it's all 4 sides equal? That is a rhombus. Couple rules about a rhombus. One, these corners are being cut in half. and you have a right angle in the middle here, so you have a bunch of right triangles. All of that is true of a rhombus. So here you have a midpoint, M, between G and O, and we want the coordinates of O. So coordinates X, Y. So by definition, midpoint means middle. So the way I see this is I ask myself, what is the distance between these two, -2 and 6? And the distance is 8 units. Notice we're going up the number line from negative to positive. So this also has to be 8 units because 6 is the exact middle. So starting at 6, you ask yourself, going up, what is the value of X on the number line? 8 units away from this. And for Y, what's the difference between 5 and -2? Now notice we're going down the number line, but that's still 7 units. So from -2 to this, you're still going to be 7 units away, but you're heading down the number line. I know physically that looks opposite. And you ask yourself, what would the value of X and Y be? Couple things here. We have some inscribed angles. Inscribed angles. This is where your Post-its come in handy. Remember, inscribed angles are half the arc. So if this is 31, this is going to be 62. You ask yourself, what else is it possible to find? So now we're going to move the Post-its right here to T. Post-it notes this way. And we're grabbing that 126. So this angle's half of 126. Then you start asking yourself, what else is it possible to find? What else is it possible to find? That's 126. That's 62. All right, notice you have another framing here. Post-it notes. Going this way. Frame it up. Which means this angle grabs the 126 at all, 63. From there, you can find this angle. Triangles add up to 180. Vertical angles, you got some butterflies. And you just keep going from there. Let's see, what do we know here? We know that TU and DC are parallel. That's important. What's implied by that is that this is going to be armpits of the Z, is what I called it, also known as alternate interior angles. Then we also know we have vertical angles. So knowing this triangle, T, U, S, U.
What's up, Miss White's preview video?
That was Jack. He's a lovely young man, very friendly, obviously. Hello, Esther, from Jack. So we've got triangle TUS And triangle long CDS, and they're going to be similar by angle similarity. Now, once something is similar, you're going to have congruent angles ratios equal, which means you can do equal ratios. You just match them up. So I'm going to go long side to long side. Top bottom, 35, 14. To longest side over longest side. Got to go the same order. X over 20. Cross multiply, solve. We got a cone here. So we're going to find the surface area, complete solid, and that to find the wraparound piece, which is think of it as the paper cone. So the surface area of a cone is circumference times slant height over 2 plus the area of one base. The base, we're going to just do the base right off the bat. The base is a circle, pi r squared. Radius is going to be 20, so this is 20 squared and pi. I'm going to leave that right there. Now circumference is d pi. So that's 40 pi over 2. We are missing, if you look very carefully, we are missing our slant height. Hey friend, where you been? All right, so your slant height, you see that you actually need. Have two sides, need a third side. Pythagoras, so 20 squared plus 21 squared equals that slant height. Squared, of course. You solve for that, that'll get you that slant height. You go through the rigmarole there, and then you add it to the 20 square pi, and that will be your surface area. Surface area is CL over 2 for a cone plus the area of one base. Taking a look at number 12, we have an isosceles trapezoid with FR and OG being the legs. So F, R, O, G are the legs, which means they are equal because it's isosceles. And then R to O would be a parallel base, and F to G would be a parallel base. What are we given? Angle F is 2x minus 13. Let's make that a little bit cleaner here. And we're given the fact that R is 3x minus 17. What is the value of x? And you have to explain. So the explanation comes to the fact that you have parallel lines. That would be your transversal. So the relationship between these two angles is they are called consecutive interior angles. Some textbooks call them same side interior angles. And when the lines are parallel, they add up to 180. They're supplementary. So your thing equation is going to be the blue angle plus the red angle equals 180 because they're consecutive interior angles. Solve for x. What is the length of diameter? That's just a distance equation. There's your distance equation. Your x's go here. Your y's go here. So in this one, in a chord, here's what's going on. One segment, ST, times the same part of the other side segment, TU, I'm color coding it for you, equals VT times TW. Segment times segment equals segment times segment. That only works for a chord. You take it from there. Here, if for a tan secant, this one is the piece times the whole equals the tan seg squared. So our piece is x. Our whole, this is what students get incorrect. The most incorrect common answer is 5x. You don't have 5 x's there. You have a 5 and an x. So piece times whole equals the tan segment squared. Piece times whole equals tan seg squared. You're going to have to factor a polynomial. We're using 45, 45, 90, leg, root 2. In a 45, 45, 90 triangle, 2 equal angles means 2 equal legs. So 45, 45, 90, the legs are equal. The hypo is whatever the leg is times root 2. So it reads like this. Something times root 2 is 7. This is a little weird looking. Something times root 2 is 7. Now, rather than trying to think of the singular something, just ask yourself what has to be in the box, at least. You know a root 2 has to be there to cancel the radical. But root 2 times root 2 just gives you 2. How could you get that down to 1? If you divide by 2 as well, now we're down to 1. Ask yourself, what times 1 is going to give you 7? And the complete answer is 7 root 2 over 2. We have another isosceles trapezoid. Fury, Fy, so F FU and FURY. It says right here that the legs are FY and UR. We are told that angle Y is 10x minus 15, and we have angle R is 5x plus 45. Solve for x, etc. Well, this one, if you have two equal sides in an isosceles triangle, these base angles are simply equal to each other. So angle Y is going to be congruent to angle R. Solve for x. Have two sides, need third side, Pythag. So leg squared plus leg squared equals hypo squared. So I have 2 squared plus y squared equals parentheses 5 root 3 and square it. This is 4y squared. 5 root 3 times 5 root 3. Outies, innies. 5 times 5, 25. Root 3 times root 3 is 3. So we have here 75. Minus 4, minus 4. You're going to solve for y in simplified radical form. So factor 71 if you can't. And if 71 is prime, if you figure that out, you just stop right there. This is a chord. Chord is angle equals arc plus arc over 2. Angle equals arc plus arc over 2. So we have 101 equals 1 arc, you don't know, call it x, plus your other arc, 163 over 2. Pop that over 1. Obviously cross multiply and solve. Write an equation of a line. So we got a line. And it's passing through the points 3, 7 and 10, 21. Equation of a line. And we want it in point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals slope x minus x1. So there's 2 things you need for this equation. You need a slope and you need a point. That's why it's called point slope form. So slope, y minus y over x minus x. So your m is going to be 2. And we have x, and then as far as your point, you can choose either point. I'm just going to choose that one, so that x, I'm going to go minus x1, y minus y1. Point slope. (30, 60, 90). Short leg root 3, short leg times 2. 30, 60, 90. Short leg root 3, short leg times 2. You start with the short leg. which is always across from the 30. Then you draw your two sprouts. Always start at the short leg. Short leg to long leg times root 3. Short leg to hypo times by 2. So in this case, 5 root 3 times 2 is going to give you x. Only the outies talk to each other. Find the area of the trapezoid. Answer in simplified radical form. Area of a trapezoid is base plus base over 2. This is how I do it. You average the bases times the height, which always makes a right angle. So there's a couple things we're missing here. We have one base, 15. We are missing the other base, unknown. Parentheses, average the bases, and we're also missing the height. So come over here and let's kind of figure out what we do have here. We have ourselves an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle, which means that's 12, and from here to here is 12. And if we drop this straight down, that means from here to here is half of 12, which is 6. And if it's equilateral, all three of these angles are equal, which makes them all 60, which makes this 30, 60, 90. Short leg root 3, short leg times 2. So taking a look here, that would mean this black squiggle's the short leg. Short leg to long leg times by 2. We already have that. We need to go this way times root 3. And we just found our height. Now, because this is a rectangle, now that you can see it's a rectangle, this whole thing's a rectangle, that means from here to here is 15. And then we need to find our other total base, which is going to be 15 plus the 6, which gets us 21. Now we have everything we need. 21, 6 root 3. Now you just clean it up from there. We have parallel lines. And if you have parallel lines slicing through a triangle, it makes all the segments proportional. Remember scale? Congruent angles, ratios equal. So there's two ways to look at this triangle. Either we can look at it as having similar triangles, and in this case, this would be 42 and this would be 24. This whole side would be x and 24, so x and 24. And then here you would add 35 and 42, 77. And if these triangles are similar, which they would be because of the parallel lines, because you'd have angle, angle going on here, you could make this proportion 42 over 77 equals 24 over x plus 24, cross multiply. Or you can visualize this just with pieces. So you could just look at the segments being proportional as well, and I could go this way. 35 over x equals 42 over 24. Both would work. We have a kite here. By definition, a kite has congruent consecutive sides. So that means these two are equal, these two are equal. You also know that the crossbar angles, think of it as a crossbar, these crossbar angles are going to be congruent. And then you need to remember simply that it qualifies as a quadrilateral, so all four of these add up to 360.